On It's Supernatural, Suzy Yaraei was a backup singer for Reba McEntire. She should be dead. Find out how her life was supernaturally spared from a devastating plane crash.
My guest has been a backup singer for such artists as Reba McEntire, Winona Judd, but there was a point in her life where she was ready to get on an airplane that was going to crash, certain death. Suzy Yaraei, tell me a bit about that.
Well, I was at my house in Nashville, and I had been drinking quite a bit of vodka at the time, and I really...
You were an alcoholic
Yes.
at that point.
And other things, among other things. And I fell down on the floor and started crying out to God, and I heard his voice.
What did he say?
He said, "Get help and quit your job."
And what did you do?
I went to the front door because I thought somebody was there. The voice was pretty loud, and there was also a knocking. I went to answer the door and see who was telling me that, and nobody was there, of course.
And you were a backup singer to some famous artists. Tell me about the makeup artist for Reba.
Right. At the time of that experience I had with his voice, I was singing backup for Reba McEntire, and so I called her right away. In that moment, I called her and told her that I heard a voice, and I believed it was God, and that I should quit. And so we decided that I should, together we decided. And I quit, and I went to a treatment center, and 2 months later was when the plane crashed and her whole band was killed.
Every person in that plane died.
Yes.
And if you hadn't heard that voice...
Right.
You know, when you worship God, every fiber of your being moves. Suzy, your life really got transformed when you went to a Morning Star conference. It's as if the Spirit of God just descended on you immediately. Tell me what happened.
Well, I walked in. Someone invited me to go to a conference, which I didn't know what a conference was. I thought it sounded like a business meeting or something. And when I walked in, the presence of God the best way to describe it was it just fell on me, which I didn't know anything about that at the time, but I couldn't walk real good. My legs felt real heavy, and I just kind of crawled around, and I laughed a lot, crawled around, but when the music started, I danced. And I cried. And I laughed.
How did you feel?
I felt so much joy and so much love. I felt like it was something I had been waiting for all my life. And I was freaking out. Really. Crawling around, weeping and crying. And people were coming to me and saying things like that they saw for me, like the love of God and the pure, fresh worship is hitting you in your body, spirit, mind, and soul, and setting you free and getting out all the old stuff. And so they were kind of helping me a little bit and telling me these things, and that's really what happened.
You know what I love? When you get songs from heaven.
Me too.
When you got the song He's Alive, tell me about that vision.
Yes, I had a vision during someone speaking where Mary was pouring her oil on Jesus and wiping her hair, and I could smell the smells in the room, and I could hear the sounds in the room, and I could feel the judgment in the room. And then I saw her, then it kind of cut, and I saw her at the grave looking for Jesus, and she had more oil, and she was looking for him. And then I heard the angels sing, "He's alive, he's alive, and you've only just begun to worship him."
Let's hear Suzy, He's Alive.
He was dining to pour my life on my love. I wrapped my hair around him, and the fragrance drifted up. I didn't even notice when the beast began to judge, 'cause his love is out of this world, and I'm totally undone. He's alive, he's alive, and I've only just begun to worship him. He's alive. much more for you. Will you break us open? We want to pour it all on you. Will you break us open? Break us open. Break us open. Oh Lord, break us open. Break us open. Break us open.
Get ready to be swept away into God's presence and soak in His love as you listen to Suzy Yaraei's new CD, Praise is Beautiful. Many who have listened to Suzy's music have experienced amazing encounters with God and have received emotional and physical healings. People in Sid's office love the CD so much they can't stop listening to it. Call now to receive your copy of Praise is Beautiful.